Good morning, everybody. So I am live now on TikTok as well as YouTube. Um, TikTok, same disclaimer as always. I'm not able to see the screen as y'all are back there. This is more for the community that we do these morning huddles. I just like to live stream it so y'all can see it. If you have comments or questions, I'll get to those after 8:30 in about 30 minutes. All right, so we're gonna start off with the news today. So as y'all know, we had our news Monday. We kind of played through that, and then we went into Tuesday, which we didn't really have a lot going on, except for we did have the consumer confidence report. And so you can see we did end up coming up higher than expected. It was expected to go up by around 1.7. It ended up going up quite a bit, right? And so if you look at 10 o'clock when that kind of correlates, you can see right around 10 o'clock right here, right? You had that burst up. So that's likely what drove most of that. On that push, right? And so now we are into Wednesday. So if you notice, Wednesday doesn't look like a lot of news, but you notice how it's all U.S., right? And we have one, two, three, four, five, six of the three heads. So building permits, moves a little bit. New home sales, depending how far that news, how much it has changed, can move the markets pretty well. That plus, crude oil inventories also can move it. But the biggest one today, the one everybody's gonna be watching, is at 2 p.m. Fed rate decision. So I always look at this part here, and so this is important because you have the what it was and what they're expecting. So it's built in for an expected 0.25 basis point rise, right? Now, if this was 5.25, that means they're expecting that they're going to maintain it, and so sometimes those can rock the markets a lot. So because if it says 5.25 and then it comes out as 5.5, then the markets are going to absolutely tank. If it says 5.25 and it comes out as 5.25, it just depends on the sentiment, right? So sometimes if people are pushing the price up like crazy because they think that they're gonna not raise it, or that there's gonna be verbiage in there that's gonna be very very bullish, then it can still drive the price up. And then when he starts talking, does his press conference here at 2:30, I've seen it, pump, and then he starts talking. He says one wrong word or leans towards something, and then it just dumps, right? So, it's a fun day to trade on news because you can catch a lot of money up and a lot of money down, or vice versa. So, but this is projection is 0.25. So what does that mean for me? If it comes out as the 0.25, then in my opinion, likely we are overbought a little, and we do need to come down. So we will see maybe a little push north and then a drop. If for some reason it comes out as 5.25 and they decide not to raise it, that holy moly, it's gonna do it like a quick wick down and then just go parabolic north, in just such a nutty way. So, big day today. So we'll see how that plays out. So as far as the SPY, let's talk about the day we played yesterday. I'm gonna go to regular trading hours. Just helps me find the market opens a little bit easier. So yesterday market open was somewhere, yeah, right about here. So one of the things that we were looking at here is, when it first opened, we had called, we kind of had like a three peak here, almost, somewhat of a double top at first, possible sideways head and shoulder. But we needed a neckline to cross. I didn't like how close this was, right? So on the 200 EMA, so we didn't really take any of those. So I actually did not trade right off the bat. I didn't take anything, right? We had this long here, which we could have played. The ATA actually caught one long. You can see the Harmonic Tracker Pro here caught the short as well as the long, so it was amazing. And look how patient actually the Harmonic Tracker Pro was. It did not take a short until up here. So right around here, when we got this call, I had put out in the trading floor, that it's a great time to take a short or a put, right? So I hope some of the people in the room caught that. I know a few people said that they took it, but it's a great setup. I mean, if you think about this, we did push up north. Not only did we push up north, we have our shoulder, we have our head, we have our shoulder. We have a short call, we have a double top, we have a red on the Bollinger Band. I mean, everything is just lines up. And on top of that, if you zoom out, we're literally peak and peak, right? It did create a little bit of a higher high, and then it just rejected, right? And we're actually down here. So, now we're in that potential of, are we playing this double top? Are we going to end up coming up like this and breaking down? I had this line here was from this peak point here, and then I was monitoring this peak point here. So we did break it, get a burst. We did break below it, and now we're actually down in this range. So we're well below that. So I don't really need this line anymore. I'm just going to take that off. Now that we did create a higher high, I'll just create a nice little peak to peak like that, so I can save that as my next high. The reason why I'm going to do that is if by chance we hold support here and the news comes out bullish and it goes in a parabolic push, it's going to end up finding some sort of resistance here at first for a rejection before it would gain support again and push up to the 458. Keep in mind we do have a higher high here on these, but we also have a significantly lower high here. So we're beginning to start to see some pretty crazy bearish divergence on that. So and you can see it right with the way the pre-market's going. So 454.75 is going to be kind of a big support level. And you can see it's holding at the pre-market, couldn't really break it. And so if we can open the market below that, we're likely to push down to about low 454. It might try to find some early support there, and there can be like little just little trend lines you can draw like this, right, to figure out where that bounce would look like. And so depending when it comes down and hits it, right, this would be kind of your first bounce test like this, and then we'd want a rejection and then pull back down. So if you look at the 1 hour, we are still above the 21 SMA, but barely. Like 454.35 is a break below that. So anything below this SMA, I mean, the gap all the way down to the 200 is like 443. So kind of like how we did here, right? If we get a close below this one, you're clear to take that put, and you can ride that down. I would be careful of the bounces that we may get between 451 or 450, something like that. But today's, it's an odd day because, like I said, we have news at 2, right? And we have news throughout the day. So we may see push and then drop and then, have a, massive bounce. So I'll update y'all tomorrow on how the Harmonic Tracker Pro as well as our other indicators did through the news, so which they usually do really well. So, but that's kind of my plan for the SPY. I'll leave this with you guys. Y'all in the room know how I feel about this. When you have this much separation between the 200 and the candles, I mean, look at this is like a $12 separation. It's gonna retest it. I mean, we have not truly retested it since back here, back in May, on the 1 hour. So, and that's all the way to 411. So we're due for a retest. We're starting to look, very double topish on here. We're not quite down to the neckline. The neckline that it would need to break is 451.53. So if the news comes out today and it's bearish enough in a way to push down with some momentum, then we break this neckline here, I would look for the break of the neckline, a bounce probably around 448, 449, have it pump back up, test the neckline around 451, and then that would be the true fall if it plays out that way with the news. But again, the best of TA, gets trumped by news. So just be really careful. Sorry about that. So just this is why, like, I can give all the TA in the world. I typically don't like to do TA on the interest rate decision days because of the fact that, you can have a double top, you can have, bearish divergence, you can have 6 out of 6 indicators saying, hey, we're going to drop today. And then all it takes is, Powell to say, we're good, we don't need to raise any interest rates anymore, and bam, it's just going to go freaking parabolic north, right? Whether that will hold or not, that's to be seen. But I don't know that we have enough to steam to push up north, with some of the stuff going. You may see something like if the market opens, down here. If the market opens somewhere in here, apologize for my throat. I don't know what's going on. Got something in there. Uh, if we do open up here and it does hold support on market open off the 21 SMA right here, you may get one more bounce up here to around 456.34. So just be careful, on trying to enter too soon on the market open, because we could get one more little push north attempt, creating a little mini double top, kind of like it did here, right? You got your little mini double top and then push down. So it could do something similar and then push down. Just don't be over anxious to jump in too soon, right? Protect your money today. Days on news like this today, I mean, people make a ton of money, but people also get extremely wrecked. So just be very careful. So let's talk about the stocks. So Apple is doing pretty much what we talked about the last few days. I'm just going to delete this line since we are venturing off of it. We had our crazy, all-time highs and, peaks that we pushed through. We still have not been able to break that 194 range that we talked about. You can see yesterday, actually, if you look at my previous videos, see this white line right here? I didn't extend it through, but we had this white line going like that. And we had talked about if you want to take puts, try to get them up here, because we have a lot of peak, 1, 2, 3, we'll call this 4, 5, 6, 7, now 8 rejections off of that 194. So, if we did hit it yesterday, if y'all caught a put off that, good job. As far as where we go today, we're just kind of ranging. I'll be honest with you, I'm not overly bearish on Apple until we break this 200 on the 1 hour. I want it to get below 192. Anything below 192 that has a actual close, not a wick like this one did, right? An actual close below, and then get that confirmation is likely going to pull back pretty considerable. Probably even a retest of 187 if that happens. So, and you can see here, right? People thought the same thing because you can see the volume pick up like crazy, and then even tried to reclaim it, couldn't do it. Volume picked up like crazy. So, I would not be taking calls up here. There's just too much cliff here for it to fall. Could it continue up? Yeah, absolutely, right? But I would be really careful on calls still on Apple. I want to go into Google because, man, oh man, look at that candle. I was looking at this morning. So I hope some of y'all caught this. I didn't. I know a couple people in the room messaged me saying that they were playing Google and that they did. Yesterday we had talked about how we had our push up, we had our falling channel. One of the things that I had said was, we could potentially have this bear flag, but we are in a bull flag looking possibly like into a bear flag. So it was an interesting one, but you can tell the moment that it broke right here, it just went freaking parabolic. So if y'all played this bull flag, the moment we ended up breaking through here with some volume, you had that go to jump into that. So I know some people caught it, so I did not. I didn't see it in time. So, but awesome job. If I were you, I would not be taking a call up here. We do have a massive gap fill here. We are overbought coming down. This has not flipped red yet though, so be aware of that. I would suspect we'll at least get a retest of like 125 down here off the 21 SMA. We can go to the daily and just kind of take a look at that. So it's at 130. Our previous high here is 129, so we're above the previous high. This was the white line we drew like some time ago, right? So we could see as high as 134 or so. I would say would be the highs, and then I think, what did I say? It was like 120, 125 or so would be the low scalp. That's the scalps I would play for that. I would not take a put unless you get a push back up here to 132. Somewhere in here, you're probably clear to take a put. But, just give it some time, give it some days. Maybe 7 days. And then you can ride those rejections. I would not take a call up here. The only way I would take a call is if I get support off of the 125 or even 122, somewhere in there. But I don't like to take calls when the RSI is so high like that. It's just not a very smart move. There's a lot better options. Microsoft. So Microsoft is an interesting one. It did the actual inverse. We had the push up, we had the parallel channel, we had the breakout. If you took the call like we talked about yesterday, right, then you would have made some money because it jumped up from 345 all the way up to 355. I hope that you were smart enough to follow with the trailing stops. Otherwise, you could probably got wrecked and you're probably negative in your trade. This is a perfect example that I like to teach people in the room because if you don't follow with a trailing stop, things happen very fast. This is the type of stuff where you're like, oh man, I'm up two, three, $4,000. This is great. Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. You go to the bathroom, you come back, and you're like, whoa, like what happened, right? um, and you can see it did it twice, right? You had a wick, boom, pump up, push back down. And now we're down below, right? So this is all pretty much invalidated. So I'm gonna, I mean, it played out, right? But it's no longer needed. So let's take a look at where we go from here. You can see we kind of have our shoulder, kind of an ugly head, and then this created that other shoulder, which is what, once it broke this neckline, people believe that it was falling down. A couple things I would say about Microsoft. You have the 21 SMA is just kind of riding the line. It's about to death cross here. We do have a gap fill, so we may get a little bit of a push up to like 345 to test that before it falls back down again. And we are kind of a little bit in that oversold territory. So, but we could get a push up test here, which would test that 21 and test this neckline. And if that rejects, right, that's where the true fall is going to come. I would say it would probably fall to about 328 or so, somewhere in here where we had prior support before it bounces again. Because if it does fall directly to that, we're going to be way, way oversold, right? So it'd be great. So I would not be taking calls unless we're in like the 328, 330 range, because we are playing a potential bearish pattern. And, as far as puts go, I just don't know that I would play this yet unless I get a retest up here around 344, 342, something like that. So that is my plays for Microsoft. Amazon, I do remember talking about Amazon, and I talked about I didn't really like a lot of the plays that it had. And the reason why, remember we talked about calls because when we looked at this, we did have some bullish divergence that was starting to pop up, right, that we were calling. Remember though, yesterday, if you go back to watch the video, I did not like it because we do have that double top pattern, and we not only had that, we had the pump down, and we had the retest of the neckline, which failed, and that's what causes this crazy push. It did gain some support, tried to retest on the 200, instantly rejected, and then it's just been riding the 21 SMA all the way down, right? And that's where you get your squeeze, right? And then once it squeezes it in, boom, you got your rejection. So we did find support right here on 125, which is literally where it found it and then went parabolic. So for Amazon, I would start considering taking a call because of the fact that we do have the bullish divergence. We may range down here for a little bit though, so you may want to wait for a setup, some kind of double touch. You see here how even you got a nice little kind of touch, up, touch. So if we might get an up, back another back touch, and then on those bullish candles is where you would want to take that, because we do have some gap fills because of how fast it fell. We do have some gap fills in here, so it's definitely setting up a call setup. I would not take a put quite yet, although we do have plenty of room to go down. Right, you can see here we do have plenty of room to go down. So if you want to take the puts, just don't take them at the support levels right here, right? Because you got what was support, what was resistance. Those are usually pretty strong. It typically means if it breaks, it's going to fall pretty well. But I would rather not take the risk of chasing that and get caught in this, right? And so for me to take a put, I'd want to see it break 125.9, find some support around 124, come back up and retest it, and you can tell it's going to lose some steam. And then you can ride that put. Keep in mind, just like we said about the other one, we are over sold, so it's not the best time to enter that put. If you wanted to enter the put, you should have did it up here when we talked about that double top, or hopefully you did. So let's talk about Tesla. So Tesla, I haven't even looked at really Tesla. I want to look at this lower line. How did we do it? Yeah, I mean the lower line we pulled it off from that. and then you can see these kind of correlate. So I wonder if I pull this up here, there's obviously a correlation to that. How does that make this look? Really doesn't change it much, right? It's the same thing. So never be afraid to adjust your lines. I mean, we don't have crystal balls, right? So Tesla, if you look at it technically, we had kind of this rising wedge, not a pretty one, but we did break it. It retest failed the line. It retest failed the line, right? So Tesla's looking like it has some room to come down on the RSI. You did have the bullish divergence, but that already kind of played out right here if I zoom in. Because remember, we're on the 1 hour, right? So this is a move from 255 all the way back to 273. So that already played out. As far as Tesla goes, we do have some support here. Anything around here, if you see it pull down and you start to see these dojis pop up again and you get a nice kick of volume, that's where you can get your call scalp. But as long as we stay below the 200 and the 21, I would be really careful with those calls. And as far as puts go, I tend to, when I get this close to support, I like to see pushes north to the 200 or the 21 SMA before I attempt that put. So you don't want to do, if you take these trades in the middle of the road, right, you don't have a lot of room to play it. So again, we have news today, right? So depending on what's said, man, can change that a lot. Because of the news, I'm just going to kind of move on from those. TikTok, if y'all have another one that I normally do, I can look at that later. But let's talk about the dollar. So the dollar, again, we keep recovering. We had the double bottom. We had the neckline test pushed up. Remember we drew this white line the other day. It actually played out perfectly because tried to break it, couldn't break it. Not only did it not break our trend line and hold, right? But our yellow line, remember we talked about double resistance, and you can see here we had resistance, and then also here you had support. And so if you take a line and you place it like that, right, you can see what was support ended up acting as resistance for the dollar. So like we talked about, we knew it was going to be a little bit of a struggle there. The dollar is in an interesting spot because technically you have your shoulder, your head, your shoulder. It broke, which reclaimed the other side. Now it's in that spot where it's kind of retesting that neckline. And if it fails to claim this through the news, then that falls it's going to just begin its descent, reclaiming this whole side like that, which will push the markets north, right? So, it's going to be a big thing to watch. So now, if the news comes out bullish for the dollar, right, then that's going to be enough to break it through this resistance, and it's going to go up in a big way. Probably reject around 101.97, somewhere in here, and then come back for a retest, and then begin its push up to the 102. I think we're going to get to at some point. So, but you can see here, I mean, this thing's been calling bearish divergence for like ever, right? And so this is pretty strong right here from this push. So. But again, news trumps TA. It'll always trump indicators. So we'll see how that plays. Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, I talked about this yesterday. We had the fall one. I said we're probably just gonna range. This type of setup almost to me looks like it needs another fall. Again, news can change it, but temporarily, if I were to be trading this, you can take this wick like this and just kind of pull it up like that, and then you can take, I'd probably do something like this. Just grab these two wicks like that, and then I would play this range, right? So we are at the bottom. So if it does hold enough support, we could see some pushes north, as high as 29.5 or so, and then over here, or even possibly by the time this 200 comes down, right? Might be where we reject and actually break the rising wedge. So see, we have bullish divergence versus bearish. So typically when you have this rising wedge, you want to see that bearish divergence more so break through than the bullish. So plus the volume's getting low too. So news might trigger this, right? So we could come out and the news could come out bullish, and it will just shatter through this line, shatter through this, and just reclaim this drop right here, right? This whole candle. So we would see, if the news is bullish, we could see it push as high as 29.8. However, if the news is bearish, we still have plenty of room to fall. So my call was at some point we're going to touch this line. So if we fall, directly down, I would say we get a bounce around 28.1, something like that, and then we'll range there. So then it will kind of end up being like your fall one, fall two range here, and then that would be your fall three, and then we would pump up like that. So that's how I'm gonna play the crypto side. So um, I have a little bit of extra time, so let's touch on ETH. I don't usually flip to ETH, but let's just see how that's playing out. ETH is still holding technically stronger again, like we talked about, than Bitcoin because it has not broken its low of support, which is like 18, 29, 1825. It wicked off it again, shot back up to 1863, and it's just been ranging since. So I would look, if the news is more bearish, if it breaks 1834, the fall is going to be pretty wild, all the way into the 1770 range, might even get 1751. My low of low for ETH, I have is still like 1400. I think it's going to take some time before we get to that one though. So, ETH is looking strong. So if the news does come out any kind of bullish, ETH is just going to go freaking nuts. I mean, probably like 1930, 1950. I mean, it might jump about $100, depending on how that news comes out. So let's talk about the ATA. So I'm gonna mute the puts. Let's talk about the calls. So yesterday we did have the close here. We did take this call. There was a secondary call here. We did not take this call. I actually had paused it. We set to close it at 3 o'clock, which is like right here. And it was like 2:15, something like that. And looking at it with the TA, I mean, if you look at where it took this call here, it's funny. As I seen it, we're right up on a resistance level, right? So I was like, I mean, taking a call is pretty risky right there. So I had paused it. So we did not take this, being transparent. But apparently the indicator knew better than I did because it did actually end up coming up into profit. So indicator, beat me on that one. So, but that's okay, right? So we still got a nice win on the calls. On the puts, so this is our original put. We did get a DCA level there. You can see 454.65. We are in profit. So currently our pre-market is really close to profit. If we open up lower than that, right, it's going to be a great trade. So we're not really in trouble or anything with this one. Keep in mind, we did have 2 days on this one decay. So if you are running this one, if it closes too tight of take profit one, depending when the markets, fill your order, it could end up a profit or it could end up a small loss, right? So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully the pre-market continues to drop down like this so we can get a big win out of it. We did open up a secondary put here. It ended up going against it right now. So the entry is 454.76. The take profit one is 454.48. So we're right there. It just missed the DCA level. I was kind of hoping it was going to go a little more, get that DCA, because I knew that we weren't going to hold this level. And so we're not in too bad a shape. So we'll likely get out of these. Today, hopefully, in the next hour, we get a nice little pullback on the pre-market and start off with a big win. We had called the head and shoulder here. I think it was somewhere around here, 456. I had told the room to take that put. So what we did is in the trading floor, let's see, where was it? Here we go. Head and shoulder forming on this buy. Hopefully you guys caught that drop because it did end up pulling back. You can see right here I put big possible rejection area setup, great for a put. Entry, take a 7 to 10 day, right? And that was somewhere up in this range before this shoulder, because I had saw this shoulder, I seen the double top, we broke down, and once we found support around the same neckline, I'm like, this is a head and shoulder. And so if anybody caught that, man, you guys, you are way in profit. I know I'm in that trade right now. I mean, this is a $2 drop, if it holds on open, depending on how many contracts that you took. I mean, if you took 10 contracts, I mean, that you're probably up $1,000 or maybe two. It's gonna be a big win. So congrats to whoever took that. So hopefully, again, don't count your eggs before they hatch is what the old saying is. We still have an hour, so anything can happen in the pre-market. So as far as settings for the ATA today, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna do calls. So let's delete the call. I'm gonna delete this later too. I don't need that one. All right, and then let's go ahead and I'm gonna keep the same settings, parabolic SARs, all that. We're only gonna do a 2-day contract because I just don't like things going over. I don't want to do the contracts over 4 days for now. So typically Wednesday I will do a 2-day, and then Thursday I'll be happy to do like a 4-day or 5-day or something like that. Is how I normally play that. So we're not going to do this at 9:45. I'm gonna stop it trading today a little bit earlier. We'll say like 1:30 because I'm gonna let it take some calls but I don't really want it to take any calls after the news, just because it's just too easy to get caught on that. So we don't need to go quite this far on the strike price. So let's go 0.3. We will add the DCA in there. That's fine. And we will change the date. All right, so that is set. So let's go ahead and create this alert. I believe I have to, let me pull this off my screen here. I had set my own alerts. So I had to remove the webhook. And now I have to find what I did with it. Okay, I got it. So bear with me for 1 second. I don't display the webhook for the copy trade because it's a private one. All right, got that in there. So I'm just gonna name it ATA copy call. And we'll put this back. Okay. All right, so we have our call in there. We'll let that populate. It looks like it's still thinking about it. These are the settings again. I'm doing parabolic SARs, so I don't want it too aggressive. The copy trade puts, I still have to keep those running until they get out of their trade, so we're not going to touch those. And then once one of them gets out, right, we'll cut it off and I'll start it fresh with the 2 days. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Yeah, but other than that, we're good, guys. Just be careful with the news. Again, we're gonna see a lot of up and down before it with the anticipation as people take their places. Should be a pretty wild day. So I hope that helps y'all out throughout your day and allows y'all to make some money. I'm gonna stop the video here. We'll see you guys in the community here soon. TikTok, I'll be with you shortly.